Eagles are playing today. It's. I would rather watch the Super Eagles any day over any foreign club. It's how we sell what we've done with sports journalism in Africa. I think personally, with my experience and having been in this space for quite a while, I think one of the issues I think we face is exactly what you just talked about. The concept or the perspective or the way people view, or some of the folks who come into the profession view sports journalism is what the problem is what the issue is. Because if we are not just about reporting about sports scores and stats and things like that, we're able to bring people and take people away to say, hey, somebody has a personal story. Look at this young lady. Look at what she's gone through. She had to go. She was abused. She was for her to get to the point that she wanted to. She had to go through some sort of hell. I have a story that is supposed to be published about a Kenyan boxer, a young lady who decided to go into the boxing profession, and the hell that young lady went through. Up to being attacked, virtually raped. Just wow. Yes, it was so touching. It was so disheartening. These are the stories that we need to tell, and how people who are in position abuse those positions. And so we can bring perspective to how sports can be relevant in society, not just to say, okay, we just everybody's going to sit there and watch Manchester United and Chelsea play tonight, and then we forget about sports after that. What is the relevance of sports for each country, each community? What does it mean to each person? That young kid that's sitting there, that 5-6-year-old that's sitting there behind the TV watching and having dreams of becoming somebody someday. How does that kid transform their talent, their dream, into a reality within their own community, and not necessarily having to travel out and overseas to realize that? How do they make it happen locally within their own country, within their own community? These are the things that we need to be addressing and talk about. Awesome take, Orji. Definitely, I know, I so appreciate you with our team, and and not to take away from our other guests, but the point here is that we want to look at the current state of journalism, as how sports journalism, as and how we stay relevant in the current times. I know we've talked about the past and how we see it now. What are the tools today that make it so highly ultra competitive to a point that we find the need to stand out? How do we use the tools of today, the website, the social media tools, and how do those affect how we connect with our fans, how we connect with our readers, how we connect with the community as a whole? Well, listeners, that was the first part of our show. We will take a short break, and we'll be right back to continue this conversation. Very interesting conversation. So stay tuned and don't go away. We'll be right back. Take over.
All my gens let my die, but they lie bad. Now here's some hard bars for my diehards. I'm a lion hearts, why should I lie in my art? Gonna rap Moses, now let the sea part. I see green, I know the sea stop. Tell our bros to never see top. So just beat it, king up. I've been dope, call the dog, let's detox. I know Bob, but it's chuck life, let's converse. 2 packs of Machiavelli, I bomb first. I know they tuck missiles, drones are funk flex. It's all really simple, I'm complex. So tell all the drunks that I'm bar heavy. Bar after bar, get your shots ready. I nice flow, expose foes, I show off. ECG, watch me go off. Check the score. Play to win, yeah, prep for draw. Nah, I'm not playing ball. They closed the gates, I found an open door. Yeah, check the score. You be true, no rush. Play to win, yeah, prep for draw. Nah, I'm not playing ball.
welcome back to the second part of our show. To continue this conversation, this revealing conversation about our world of sports, the ever-changing part of what's going on in today's world. What we're doing here and what we're talking about today reflects a lot about what goes on in other parts of life in the world today, because like you all know, technology is fast changing so many things around the world. Before we go further, I want to let you know that this podcast is available on Apple iTunes and on Spotify, as well as iHeartRadio and the Google Play music store. So you can find the Africa Sports Report. You type in keyword Africa Sports Report, keywords Africa Sports Report, and you'll be able to listen to our podcast anywhere in the world. So long as you have any of these apps on your phone or your tablet, you can listen to our program. This is a revealing conversation that's not just applicable to what we're doing in Africa, but what sports reporters or what sports media personalities or entities are doing across the world. So the world is changing. It's changing. So welcome back, and we'll continue this conversation. Just hang tight, and we'll continue shortly. Yemi, you've been in this space and you've evolved with the times, and you currently, you do what you do, and you have a Twitter handle, you're on Facebook, you're on WhatsApp, and so how have things impacted you to how you perform your job today?
Okay, thanks for that question, Leslie.
Mm-hmm.
Just like we have all established, things have changed, times have changed, and of course, one is left with no option but to move with the times, So, of course, if you really want to have that sort of followership for your content, then, of course, it means one has to make the most of tools available, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, what have you. On a personal note, though, I must say that personally, for example, on Twitter, I'm not very active.
Mm-hmm.
I just started getting a bit active on Twitter. But in terms of my job, like Making of Champions that I work for, we have a website,
Mm-hmm.
we have a Facebook page, Twitter handle, Instagram handle. I know on Facebook, for example, we have like about 15,000 or so,
Mm-hmm. Okay.
followers on Facebook. And it's been a challenging journey, trying to get all of that. But because of what we do, somehow we've been able to get that kind of followership. Like when Audrey was mentioning how things have changed a bit now, where, for example, the kind of journalism we practice, we do not really address maybe a lot of issues as we should have, or we're not really taking in some issues very deeply and so on. Making of Champions started, to solve a problem. That was what brought about Making of Champions. And what was the issue? The fact that a lot of focus seemed to be on football.
Mm-hmm.
Of course, football is the biggest sport in Nigeria, in the world, more or less, And the owner of the company felt like, okay, but all the medals Nigeria has won at the Olympics, about 25 medals, combined in all of our outings at the Olympics. Athletics won about 13 or 14 of those medals. So if the sport has provided us with the highest number of medals, at the Olympics, how come we do not have that kind of followership of the sport? And, because there is also a decline, in our athletics and sports in general. So something needs to be done about that. So setting up Making of Champions was meant to address that sort of issue. Because we're now focused on athletics. We say, okay, since a lot of people are covering football, covering other sports, let's just focus on athletics. And over time, it wasn't easy. But over time, people got to see, okay, we have a website that is dedicated to athletics. So people knew that anything that has to do with Team Nigeria or athletics in Nigeria, if they needed information, they could come to us. And so that was what happened. That was why eventually we began to get that kind of followership. And trying to follow Team Nigeria everywhere, you know, they go, All African Games, African Championships, World Championships. You know, there are events we've gone for where we were like the only Nigerian platform who were there exclusively covering Team Nigeria in athletics, you know. And so because we had that kind of exclusive content, it drove, you know, a lot of people to the site, drove them to our Facebook, Twitter, everything, you know. So having that kind of exclusive content in a way gave us an edge, which is something, you know, one really needs to do if you're going to make the most of those platforms, especially in this day and time where you're giving people live social media updates. You know, it's something we do regularly for every competition we're covering, live updates. Or even, you know, for many people will wait until, okay, maybe it's a big competition. But for almost every competition, athletics competition in Nigeria, we are there to provide exclusive content. So because people know that we're going to be there, they are fixed, you know, following us, Twitter, Facebook, everywhere, just to get, you know, step-by-step action of all that is going on. So that has really helped. And then we found out, for example, like, okay, athletics, let's say the season is really vibrant from like March, April to September. And so after a while, we found out, okay, after September, not much is happening in the world of athletics. So what do we do? Does it mean that we lose our readers, you know, up until maybe March or April of the following year? And so because of that, we also began to do a little bit of coverages of Team Nigeria and other sports. Maybe if the Super Eagles are playing, for example, we go to cover their matches. If something is happening in table tennis as well, we cover it, you know, and other sports, just to provide content so that there isn't a wide gap from when the athletic season ends to when it begins, and then leaving our followers or readers with nothing to follow, more or less. So that also helped keeping the site active all through the year, more or less, so that there's always something for our readers, you know, whenever they come to our page, there's always exclusive content for them to read and follow. So that has really helped, you know. And even in this day and age too, you know, following sportsmen and women, administrators, following them on Facebook, Twitter, and all of that can really give one, you know, a lot of news too, because you get to see what is going on in their lives, you know, through what they post on social media. Some of them are not really into social media, but others are, you know. And so one can really leverage on this to get a lot of content for their platforms. So at least in my own experience, that's what we've been doing, you know, a lot, which has really helped.
Okay. All right. That's I mean, just about right, you know, in this day and age, and you going through the same thing, I guess, where every one of us are going through in terms of adaptation to the times, and so you highlighting how you have been able to, or you and your media company have been able to utilize the necessary tools out there and to stay relevant, and that juxtaposes into the last the statement OG made about what's important in terms of reporting in sports as well, not necessarily just the live content. So we can juxtapose all of these. We can juxtapose how we need to report the serious issues, or talk about the serious issues, or write groundbreaking articles about serious issues, as well as stay relevant with live content as well, using social media and other tools out there as well. Nathaniel, you are, you know, from the Ghanaian perspective, how important have social media been to, and not just the social media, other tools of technology, you know, in this day and age of the digital technology, how have they been relevant to your craft, and how is that helping the sports reporting in Ghana?
Okay, so before I touch on that, I want to look at it from the international perspective.
Mm-hmm.
The International Table Tennis Federation has 226 member nations, and so it's the table tennis